Hi guys, Bob here, and in this video I'm going to talk about my top movies of 2024 that came out in 2024. Now I've seen 68 movies, would you believe, this year that have come out in 2024. Apologies for my Princess Leia headphones, but it means I can kind of half listen to the computer game and I can still hear myself talk. So this is Neon Arcade. It's kind of you can put in virtual reality, you can walk into the arcade and look round. Obviously, some of them I don't have their marquees, and I don't. It took me ages to get this set up, and then I never played it. It's always the same. You spend ages setting this stuff up, and then you don't even play it. So we can do some bowling here. Well, that was terrible. Gutter ball. So what's in my list? I'm just going to float around the arcade, put in some games, and talk to the camera rather than just my big face on the screen, which I don't like looking at anyway. So, what is on my list? So I've got like 68 of entirely. I'm going to go through the first ones, then talk about the last 21 a wee bit more, because the last 21 are the ones that are in my top kind of ones, whereas the first ones are just ones that I've seen. Oops, that's terrible. Well, let's go and do something else. Turtles. Dun, 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 dun. Pizza Time. Neo Turf Masters. That's quite a good game. This got a rubbish tune that really annoys me. Get some posters here. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Ghostbusters. Adventures in Babysitting. You can go up and you can go into like a bar area and you can set up different things. Moonwalker, Donkey Kong. Let's have a wee game of Donkey Kong actually. You can see the kind of reflections in the screen, which is kind of cool. Let's see if I can figure out how to put in money on this one. Oops, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, can't seem to get away from it. Oops, and then I hit escape and it took me back to the beginning. I've got Frogger working a minute ago. Let's have a wee shot of Frogger. See if we can get this one going. There we go. Right, so yeah, on my list, I'm just going to go through the first ones pretty quickly. Lisa Frankenstein. It's a kind of 80s movie. Girl moves house, moves towns due to a disaster in her house. I think she's lives with her auntie, something like that. And she kind of goes to the school and she's kind of the oddball. Pretty good, pretty funny. She kind of has a crush on a kind of dead guy, and it's kind of a morbid kind of look on it. And yeah, so that's Lisa Frankenstein. Well worth a watch if you're kind of into your 80s movies and a bit of silliness, a bit of comedy, a bit of dark humour. The Ordinary Angels, now that's a kind of Erin Brockovich movie, sort of. Oops, I died. Sort of like a woman who helps out a family in need, who have went through a tragedy or are going through a tragedy, and there's medical bills and all that. Pretty good movie with the guy that's in Jack Reacher, not Tom Cruise, the kind of TV series of Jack Reacher. He's in a few other movies. He's in the Ungentlemanly movie as well, as a kind of Norwegian or a Danish person, maybe Swedish. Yeah, well done, Robert. So that's Ordinary Angels. Dune Part 2. Dune is not on my. It's not made my final list because I never really got into Dune. It was just, I think it confused me with the whole politician stuff. I was confused as to what was going on. I get why it's like a big movie for everybody because it's like the epic kind of special effects, or even for nowadays they are pretty epic looking, and amazing. So that's Dune Part 2. Next one's Ricky Stenicki, which is a John Cena film. It's kind of about a group of guys who have made up this childhood character to try and get them out of trouble, and it's kind of an imaginary person that they tell their family about as being a real person. Oh, it was Ricky Stenicki that gets into this bother, that gets into this sticky situation, and because he's imaginary, then I think the wives or something ask, let's meet Ricky Stenicki, and they hire John Cena in this case to play the part of Ricky Stenicki. and it's kind of a comedy. I enjoyed it. I don't know if it gets good reviews or not. So the next movie is Arthur the King. Arthur the King was a movie with Mark Wahlberg, and it's about the kind of race across. It's kind of a Bear Grylls does it. It's like a race across like a country or something. I think it was Fiji, the last one I seen, like properly seen. It's like teams of 4 people who do like an ultra marathon, and this is kind of based on a true story. How much of a true story we don't know, but it's about one of the teams who comes across a dog who follows them through the forest as they're doing this kind of ultra marathon triathlon thing. So let's move on to The Greatest Hits. Where am I? Oh, there am I there. The Greatest Hits is a movie about a girl who plays records and kind of makes her time travel. She wants to kind of go back and find her boyfriend. Again, decent movie, worth a watch. It's going to get good tunes in it. She has to play particular records to take her back to particular times. It'll be about like the time traveler's wife, if you want to call it. That's like an older movie. Just having a drink of my root beer while trying to get onto level 2 here. Next on the list I've got here is If, which is, if I remember rightly, it's the Ryan Reynolds movie where there is it's to do with imaginary friends, I think. Again, it's made my list because it was a decent movie. Again, worth a watch if you're into kind of more children's movies. Next on the list is Hitman, which the actor has become like a big actor recently. He's kind of turned into one of them kind of mainstay actiony kind of, and he appears quite a few times on my list. He's an actor who was in the Maverick, Top Gun Maverick, as the kind of modern day Iceman. I don't know his name, to be honest, but he's in this Hitman, which is based on I think it's a true story about a guy who was hired by the FBI to try and capture or to con out people who were trying to commit murder, or trying to hire a hitman. Again, really good movie, quite funny. He's a decent actor, to be fair. He's in, again, another few movies on here. So then there's Ezra. Ezra was a movie with, what's his name? Tommy Lee Jones? No, that's not right. No, Tommy Lee Jones. I always get these two guys mixed up. It is Robert De Niro, and it's about a kind of kid and his dad and a kind of broken family situation, and the dad's back living with his dad who's kind of widowed. Again, quite a funny movie. It's comedy. It's kind of heartfelt movie. So let's move on from there. So let me just kind of wander around and I'll talk you through these rather than focusing on the game. What You Wish For. Now, What You Wish For is quite a decent movie. I'd recommend it if you've not seen it. It's kind of a horror kind of type, thrillery type movie. I would say it's kind of in the same genre as, what's the word? Don't Speak No Evil, the one with James McAvoy. It's kind of in a similar ilk to it. It's certainly nowhere near as good as that one. But it is a decent movie about a guy who is a chef and he meets a friend who is also a chef. And I don't really want to give too much away. You can probably go away and get a kind of basic synopsis on it. But What You Wish For. I'm pretty sure it's the guy who plays in Terminator 3 as John Connor. Again, I'm not very good with names. I'm really bad with names. I know faces. I usually have to go and look for names. The Big Lebowski. Not a movie I was really interested in. That didn't ever kind of click with me. I don't know what that is. Again, I never really put these posters here. They were probably part of a pack that I downloaded. Inside Out 2, animated. I'm not going to go into too much about that. Inside Out 2 is a Disney movie. Funny, went to the cinema with the family to see it. It was pretty decent. Despicable Me 4, which is a decent movie. Again, because I've got my kids have all grown up now, but we did go through the kind of process of watching Despicable Me 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see if we can get some bubble going here. So next one's Fly Me to the Moon, which is a... I'm trying to think what Fly Me to the Moon would be classed as, and I'm trying to figure out what my jump button is here. What's my jump button? Can I play with a controller? No. Ugh. Oh well, I guess I'm just going to die. We'll just come back to the beginning. So yeah, Fly Me to the Moon, it's kind of based on the moon landings. Scarlett Johansson, and I'm trying to think of the other guy's name. It's not John Cena, but again I get him mixed up with the other guy. They both kind of look similar to me. But anyway, that's a decent movie with Scarlett Johansson in it. The Union, it got really bad reviews. It's got, I can never remember her name. He's in Gothica, which is a brilliant movie. If you've never seen Gothica, highly recommend it. Then I'll just move on, but the Blink Twice, because there's too many movies here, and then I'll try and go into my top 21. Blink Twice, again the guy from Fly Me to the Moon, I'm pretty sure it's the same guy that's in that. It's a horror movie about an island, people go to an island, and there's kind of something not quite right about what's happening on the island. So it would certainly worth a watch. Oh, my itchy eye. So that's Blink Twice. Greedy People, it was recommended to me by one of the apprentices at my work. And it was actually pretty decent fare. It's a kind of comedy, a kind of black comedy. And definitely worth a watch. Basically it's about a cop who's just turned up in a town and something bad happens. And they've kind of got to try and figure out what to do about it, and it's to do around money, so it's to do with being greedy and greedy people, hence the name of the movie. Next one's My Old Ass. Now, I tried to watch My Old Ass, I managed about 20 minutes. It's a kind of a girl, it's kind of an LGBTQ plus movie about a girl, kind of coming of age type movie. It reminded me a lot of Dawson's Creek, which I loved growing up. So it felt a wee bit kind of not quite for my age group, being in my mid 40s. So it didn't really quite click with me, but I watched it and I thought it was quite a heartfelt movie. So worth a watch. Brothers, that's with the Peter Dinklage, I want to say. And again, good comedy, kind of funny. You've kind of got to get by the first 20 minutes before it gets decent. So leave that to that. Woman of the Hour, which is what's her name? I can never remember her name. She's in Twilight. That's all I remember. She's in Pitch Perfect. No, it's not going to come. Anyway, it's a true story about a serial killer back in the 60s or 70s, and her appearing on Blind Date, as it would be called, but it's not called Blind Date. But she goes on a blind date show where the serial killer is appearing. As one of the eligible bachelors. We've got Elevation, which I watched yesterday or the day before. It's about a kind of creature feature, I guess. It's got kind of vibes of the Hunger Games. Yeah, the Hunger Games. Sorry, what's it called? Not the Hunger Games. It is. Let's go and serve somebody a drink. Oops. Yeah, it's got kind of vibes of, what's the name of that movie? The one, Maze Runner. I was going to say the one where they get caught in a maze. It's called The Maze Runner. It had kind of vibes of that, but in essence it starts where the world, some creatures have come out of the ground and they've taken over the world, and you're only safe if you're above 8,000 feet, which literally wipes out the entirety of humanity in the UK. Because our biggest mountain is in Ben Nevis. And it's only 4,000 odd feet, so we would be gubbed, we would be dead, based on the movie lore. So that's Elevation, decent movie. The guy that plays Eagle in the Avengers movies, again, I'm not very good with Avenger movies. I've only really seen them once. I don't really remember much about them. But anyway, it's the kind of black guy from Avengers, and he's in loads of other movies. He's in another one. Do we go into the moon or being in space? We've got Red One, which is the one with The Rock, which was a decent movie, and Nutcrackers, which is a Ben Stiller Christmas movie, which I watched recently, and I thought it was okay. So that's kind of my list of okay movies. For the ones that are better than expected, and I'm not going to go into these too much, but they were usually panned by people, and I actually thought they were better than what people portrayed them. These are Madam Web, the Avengers movie. I thought it was alright. Didn't think it was that bad. Damsel, which is Millie Bobby Brown, where it took a while to get into it, but I thought it was pretty decent actually. Once you kind of get past the first kind of 10-20 minutes. Borderlands, which everybody hated, I quite liked. I didn't think it was that bad. I liked the colours, I liked the kind of props, I liked the world. It's not a game I've played, so it's not to do with loving the game or anything. Sorry, I'm just kind of standing there looking at nothing when you can look at these lovely attract screens for 1942. Yeah, let's see if I can get a coin into this guy. Oops. And I don't know if I can move around. Can I move around? Oh, there we go. I don't know what my special will be, but we'll go with it. Right, so next on my list here of was better than expected is The Crow, which I know people didn't like, but I thought it was okay. I am a big fan of the first movie, and it's partly because of the Brandon Lee death, and at the time it was a big deal, and it was, oh my goodness, this actor died, and as a kind of teen or a youngster at the time, it was a big deal because it was America, and America was this big thing for us growing up in the kind of 80s and 90s. Next is Incoming, which is a kind of American Pie remake. It was standard fare. It was a bit minging, a bit disgusting. It's kind of a bit like a kid that starts high school or middle school, or a group of kids. It's very much American Pie, but kind of for a more modern audience. And I would probably say American Pie is better, but it was okay. I watched it one night, just chucked on. Subservience, which is a movie with Megan Fox. I think the only reason I like that is because it's got Megan Fox in it. Never Let Go. Halle Berry's the name I was looking for earlier on, the girl in Gothica, because it's Halle Berry that's in Union. She's in the one I mentioned a minute ago, Gothica, and she's in Never Let Go, which is kind of a post-apocalyptic cabin in the woods, and they've got to be tied onto the house to survive. It's a woman and her 2 kids, and it's kind of what's actually going on. Is it real? Is it not real? Is the mum telling them the truth? Is she not? Is everything as it seems? So apologies for my really bad performance here, but to talk and play games at the same time is not an easy thing to do, and I'm sure many people will attest to that. Plus, this screen's a bit weird. Normally 1942 is a lot kind of, this aspect ratio here's totally off. So what's next? The Killer's Game, which is John Batista, I want to say. Big guy who plays the funny kind of laughing guy in Guardians of the Galaxy. It's him, and he's a hitman, and he finds out he's not long for the world, but he's just kind of met the girl of his dreams. And again, it's quite a funny movie from memory. It's a comedy, decent, worth a watch. Right, so that puts me on to the movies I didn't like, and then we'll eventually get to the movies that I have in my top 21 movies. So what do we have? Let me see. That's the wrong thing. I'm trying to actually zoom down on my other page here. So I've actually got 2 kind of lists here before we get to my top 21. Apologies for this. So the ones I did not like were Argyle. Started off really well. It's kind of a modern day James Bond thing. Like it says, it started off decent and then just was crappy. Can I grab that? Oh, there we go. Yay, 40. Play this very well. So yeah, No Way Up, which is a movie about a kind of plane crash in the sea and sharks. Very much a low budget movie, but it was funny. It wasn't too bad, but I've got it on my not like list. Imaginary, which is about a teddy bear, I think, an imaginary friend teddy bear thing. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, very disappointed in Ghostbusters movie. I went to the cinema to see that, and no, it wasn't for me. It was just movie was okay, but it didn't go anywhere. And in the end, when the big baddie kind of arrived, it lasted about 5 seconds, and yeah, just a bit rubbish. The fact that it didn't last longer. I've got Arcadian. I was excited about Arcadian. I'm just gonna, trying to do all this kind of stuff at the same time as a pain in the bum. Tried that multiple times there and wee. Oh, is it gonna go in? Yay! Cyborg. Remember that movie? Very much a low budget movie, I think. Yeah, so Arcadian was a Nicolas Cage movie. When I seen the advert for it, I was really excited. The kind of post-apocalyptic monsters that have arrived, very much like the Elevation type movie, but it just didn't go anywhere. The story was pants. I liked the kind of feel of the movie at the beginning, and then it just kind of fell by the wayside. In all honesty, it just kind of didn't go where I felt it should have. It could have got better. Could have been better. Ghostbusters. I do like Ghostbusters, but I don't like Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Too long. I know it get good reviews. I just get bored. I get bored watching it. Let's go and sit with a Pepe instead of Pepsi. Get Pepe. Let's kind of give me one. Yeah. I'll go and have a can of Pepe. You can see the turtles. So what else is there? There's The Idea of You, which is, what's her name? What's that lassie's name? Princess Diaries. She's a pretty decent actress, whatever you call them these days. She was in Les Mis, or I'm never going to remember her name, and somebody's shouting it at the screen. Anyway, it was kind of an old woman or an older woman getting with a kind of boy band guy, and it was a kind of romance story, and it just was, nah, not for me. Last on the not like list is Beetlejuice. I love Beetlejuice. I love the original Beetlejuice. I know other people don't like it, but back in the day, it was something about the girl was probably about similar ages to me. Well, she is. What's her name? Winona Ryder. She's kind of a similar age to me, so I grew up with her. So I think it kind of clicked back in the day that this was a kid who was a bit different, and she'd met these ghosts, and it was a bit scary. So I really loved Beetlejuice, the original movie. It wasn't so much to do with Michael Keaton, who's actually very little in that movie. Having watched it relatively recently before I watched Beetlejuice. So on my meh list, please bear with me. On my meh list, and I might break this video into two, so maybe part one and part two, and you can watch between them. On my meh list, I've got Fall Guy, which has Ryan Gosling in it, and Emily Blunt from memory. Again, decent enough movie, but it fell short of expectations. Long Legs, I just found it boring, and I get that Nicolas Cage was really, really good in it, and I get that it's a kind of people were talking about it a lot, but it might have been the hype that kind of caused the problem. Too much hype, and when I actually arrived, it just kind of disappointed. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to just sit at the bar and talk to the camera, because I'm going to put myself drawing or something in the background. Watch this back, make sure it looks okay. On my other list, Oddity. It's a horror movie, gets good reviews. I'm not saying it's a bad movie, it's a decent enough movie. Very different. Kind of about a statue that's kind of sits at the table. It's kind of like made of wood, and there's something creepy about it. It's like a human looking statue, and this guy lives on a farm, and his sister-in-law gives him it as a present, this statue thing, and strange things go on, and it's to do with the guy's wife's death, and I'll not go into much more detail than that. Oddity. Azrael, again, it was a kind of disappointing, because I like the actress. She's the girl that plays the babysitter. and in Babysitter the movie. She's also in Ready or Not from what I can remember. And it just didn't seem to go anywhere. It was a kind of good concept. It felt a wee bit kind of like the game. What's the game called? Death Stranding. Kind of zombies that were in the world. They kind of speak. There's not a lot of dialogue in the movie at all. So yeah, just it was okay, but meh. Hold Your Breath, about a dusty kind of cowboy place. Meh. Smile 2. This one's going to be controversial. I need to go and watch Smile 2 again. I happen to be drinking, and I need to go and watch Smile 2 again. Juror number 2 got good reviews. I found it boring. I was thinking, watching it, going, okay, this could be good, and then just frittered away to nothing really. And I watched Carry On last night, which is a movie in an airport set by Netflix, and again it was a wee bit more frustrating. I mean, it was quite a decent movie. There was some decent acting in it, but it was just didn't feel much for the characters overly, and they kind of just were really rubbish at doing anything useful until kind of the movie probably could have been shorter, even though it's quite a short movie anyway. So that's that list. I'm going to pause this now because we're at 27 minutes, and I might cut this into 2 videos. So thank you very much, and for the moment, we Bob is out. Bye.